coach, I've never really understood why, when we're teaching a technical skill, that we always kind of look at a book of how it must be done, and we go, right, everyone, you 12 boys, you must perform exactly the same as that. I've never understood that. But that's a story for another day. But because of that mindset, I'd never really placed any time to develop my understanding of technical skills. So anyway, long story short, I go into this academy, private football academy, and everything is about technique. So I'm being given session plans, and it's points about, I can remember they called it the 4 Bs for passing the ball. So it was ball speed, body shape, breaking lines, and I think the last one was body control. Now, I'd heard of ball speed, but breaking lines, body shape, what? I had no idea. And I'm being given this plan, and with my knowledge and experience of doing a master's, I'm expected to obviously know that, and I didn't. And what I should have done is turned around and said, "Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not too sure on this." But that, you feel that's a sign of weakness. You feel that, well, I'm studying a master's at university in sports coaching. I should have a very high knowledge of the football game, but I didn't, and it's okay that if you don't. But the problem was, because I felt so embarrassed, well, I just got on with it. And over time, over a couple of months period, you obviously, people are watching you, seeing it, and you get found out. And I can remember I've been sat down and having a constructive feedback session, as they call it. Let me tell you, it wasn't constructive at all. But the emphasis I was told was, listen, you're a really good coach. You've got a lot of understanding of the tactical side, but you don't have enough technical side. And I can remember listening to that and thinking, wow. And suddenly having in the back of your mind of what you want to do, like I said, for me, hopefully getting to be a head coach of a professional team, that's suddenly gone. That dream's suddenly gone, because you're being told you don't have enough knowledge. In fact, actually, I'd question how much knowledge you do have of the technical side. And that was probably the lowest point I had ever felt as a coach. I just felt, wow, I don't know if I can do this anymore then. Am I ever going to get anywhere near past the amateur level if I don't have enough knowledge of that? And, for them, that was November, December, this time last year. Boy, those were tough. Those were tough months. Going into sessions, knowing, because it's now being explicitly made aware to you that you don't have enough knowledge. And then you're still being asked to deliver it. And it was just, wow. And it was very difficult. It was a very questioning yourself, waking up, questioning yourself all the time. Are you actually good enough? Do you know what you're doing? And it was tough. And, what I then had to do was, I knew that if I carried on at that particular role, that wasn't going to be any good for me. I knew that was going to maybe impact my mental health, make me feel maybe depressed is the wrong word, but feeling that, nah, I'm not good enough. That's not good for me. And I had to leave it, and I left it. And, the initial feeling was still, that's been tough. I wasn't expecting, being told that I wasn't good enough from a technical point of view, because again, youth development settings, I guess I'd always been the main man, if you like, the most knowledgeable person. I'd never really been questioned of my knowledge, but going into that academy I had. And yeah, for about a month, it was tough, but I can remember sitting down with my dad, and so he was a coach himself, as I said. And we just sort of sat down and we went, well, right, but that's context specific. Yes, if I were to go in and hopefully get into the semi-pro, the pro game eventually, I'm going to have to increase my knowledge of the technical skills. But the difference is that you would have a backroom staff where you might have your assistant manager who, that's his area of expertise. So, and from him saying that, kind of made me go, wow, okay. Because at that point I felt I'm never going to get anywhere because I don't have enough technical knowledge. But from him saying that was like, right, okay. So, going back to my longer term plan, right, I've just got to obviously learn a bit more about technique, which is fine, but don't stress too much, because again, where I want to go, I'll bring someone in to hopefully help me. The problem was obviously within that setting is that you don't have a backroom staff because you're an academy coach and everything's on you. So, but like I say, it took me a while to realise, but hang on a minute, Sam, you don't actually want to be an academy coach, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But yeah, I think, the lesson there is sometimes when you're in a specific context or a specific job, you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. You can't get out of that. You can't see past that job. And again, if you're being told, you know, you need to improve there, wow, you know, wow. But as soon as you actually come out of that context, it's very difficult. Sometimes you have to look past that. It's not the end of the world. And I think that was something my dad said to me. You know, he said that that particular role is one role out of maybe 30 or 40 on the journey where you're going to get to. So don't make that decipher if you're going to get to that journey or not. And everything at the end of the day, as we always say, it's a learning lesson, isn't it? Yeah, it's a difficult one to say because I think everything is always through your experience, isn't it? And, you know, sometimes I come on a couple of podcasts and I say, oh, yeah, you know, I think coaches are burning out. And then someone will come at me and say, oh, no, 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 we're not doing this at this academy. So I think it's important to say from my experience. But yeah, I think there's been a massive shift, to be fair, in the last 2 or 3 years. But, you know, me going into certain academies or certain contexts within the youth development, I felt there was one, always far too much pressure to win. But two, we were not in this country allowing young footballers to be creative, to be adaptive. You know, let me give you an example. We've got a player, or sorry, I had a player at my last role who I think she was 20 years old and she'd never, ever, ever played football at a football team. She'd only ever played on the street for 20 years. Comes to me, wow, what a player. Some of the, you know, creativity, the solutions, you know, I can remember a ball just coming really high and she just took it down, did a little turn, went past the defender, went past another one and scored. And I was thinking to myself, if she'd have been coached and been in an academy, she would have never have done that because the coach would have said, no, don't do that because we might lose possession. And if we lose possession, that might lead to a goal. And that's the big problem, in my opinion. I think because everything is tailored about trying to win, the problem is that we're not allowing young players to go and be creative. We're not allowing them to explore, you know, be adaptable. You know, we're turning around to them saying, don't do that fantastic outside of the foot pass because that might not be on target. Instead, just do a side foot pass because that gives more power. But then what these coaches don't realise is that by saying that, well, they're never going to be creative again. All they're going to do is do that side foot pass or those certain skills that you have over a 5, 6, 7 year period, force them into that little box for that little skill set, you know. And I think there's been a lot of research, to be fair, over the last couple of years and within the last 2 or 3 years in this country, that's certainly changed of, oh, wow, we've realised the impact that by saying don't do this, don't do that, only do this particular technical skill, only do this particular tactic, that we are limiting footballers. You know, for years, the England national team, it was all about we've not had a good enough manager. Well, actually, no, it's not. It's not because we're not developing the players. It's because the coaches at youth development level are constraining the players too much. Because if you look at the England national team now and the young players coming through, you've got your Sanchos, your Fodens, Mason Mount, for example, creative. I think they could play in any team. They could come up with any single solution. Whereas if you look at the England team 10 years ago, they didn't have that creativity. They were great players, but they were great at doing particular skills, if you know where I'm coming from, Alex. So I think that's a problem. I think, to be fair, in England, I think it is changing and the emphasis of winning's gone down. You know, and of course, competitiveness is important. And that's the argument you always get from parents. Well, you know, we need them to learn to win and lose. Well, yeah, you do. But not at the cost of coming in on a Sunday, going upstairs and crying in the room because they've lost a game. That's not what it's about. Maybe when they get to the professional level, maybe we can accept that. But, and even then we wouldn't. But, you know, that was always a massive problem here, and maybe because England is the home of football and there's such an emphasis of winning, and you know we're a very small country and we're a bit arrogant and we think that actually we're the best in what we do. But actually, take a step back. No, let's just let our players develop. Let's not constrain them. Let's not limit them. Let's allow them to be creative and be adaptable. And you know, if they perform a skill and they lose the ball and the other team scores from it, let's not, you know, hammer him for it. Let's just say, oh, unlucky there, but well done for trying that. And, you know, it's like I was speaking to a coach at Man City who was a youth development coach, and he said, you know, I'm coaching these, I think he was doing under-8 girls, but, you know, I in the back of my mind, what I'm doing now is preparing them for 10 years away. And what he was saying was of the technical skills that he was trying to, so he was trying to create an environment that allows creativity and adaptability. But I think sometimes people misread that and go, oh, well, because we're preparing them for 10 years away, we need to get them to learn how to win now. No, just calm down. We can worry about that when the 16, 17, 18. But of course, then your parents might go, oh, but that's too late. Well, it's not. But like I say, I think there's a lot of great work being done. I think that's now becoming more of the forefront of people's mind of understanding that. But yeah, in my opinion, that was a massive problem for years and still is a problem. And I'm sure it's not only just in this country. I'm sure it's all over the world.